What is the crack, my man?
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good, dude. It's good to see you, mate.
Thank you.
So Jay here, tell you what, you want to give a quick intro to our audience first of all. Give me a wee bit about your background first of all, and then kind of how you get into the fitness industry. We'll start there.
Okay, yeah. So my name's Gareth. I own a little gym just outside Mclean. I'm one of the country sort of guys called DMC Performance. Initially, how I get into the fitness scene was right through school. Sort of played a lot of sport and things like that. Came right up through, and I'd say it was due to my two PE teachers. Sort of not to push me in that path, but I loved sort of the guidance and steer that they gave me. From that, I would say then once I left school, I had a pretty simple road. I wanted to go to university, and from that, I ended up then actually working in a couple of gyms before, and then initially founded and opened GMC Performance.
Mm-hmm. So here, mate, tell us a wee bit about what you studied at uni. Was that that anything to do with fitness?
Yeah. So just before I went to uni, I actually ended up going through just standard criteria where I pretty much went through and done my A levels. Because I wasn't really sure of what path I wanted to go into. I wasn't sure whether it was construction, IT, sport, or HE. So I ended up actually studying 4 A levels other than 3. From that then meant that the decision then was in my hands of where I wanted to go. So for me, the easiest decision was likely University of Ulster Georgetown had the sports studies and sports science degree. So I jumped on the back end of the sports science degree at Georgetown solely because I thought I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I knew that it could sort of lead me into different paths, from physiotherapy to maybe sports coaching to PE teaching, to even opening my own gym. And at that time, opening my gym was not on my cards, like not a chance. I initially thought I was just going to take over the world in regards to I wanted to coach my premiership team. And with coaching my premiership team, I was like, I'm going to become a sports scientist, and that's it. My path set. That took a real turn, just because when I actually finished, when I went in my placement year, I worked in an orthopedics academy in America, and I just thought, you know what, this shit isn't for me. It's not what I want to do. And then when I actually came home, I actually said to myself, I'm going to give it another opportunity. So I applied for some work across seas, and then just before it all was to happen, I was like, no, it's not me again. I was like, this is not what I got my heart set on. It's not my passion. It's not my drive. So I had to then more or less pretty much bring myself back to the table and start drawing up and coming up with a new system and a new plan.
Awesome, dude. And GMC Performance. Tell us a wee bit about that. Tell us a wee bit about the facility, what you guys offer in the facility, and kind of piece that together. Like, how did that then come about? What made you go, right, I'm going to open a gym?
Yeah. So GMC, effectively, this will be our third year open. When I first was opening,
congratulations, man.
Say again, sorry.
Congratulations.
Oh, cheers, buddy. So when I first opened GMC, before I opened it, I was just personal training. After I finished my degree, I was working part-time in a restaurant, and I was sort of then doing a little bit of part-time personal training at like an old sort of gym. It was like real rustic, cold, damp, wet, the whole
thing. Old school, man. Old school.
And you know what? Sometimes it's actually great because the gym's actually still open. It's a place called Meadowbank Sports Arena, and all like the old equipment from the old leisure centre was in it. And I was like, this stuff's class. But the thing then was, when I was working there, and obviously working part time, I was obviously I was doing the double because I was running between sort of restaurant work, personal training work, and then it sort of then led me to working in a leisure centre. From that, then it was a bit nicer, it was fancier, it was cleaner, it was smoother. There were systems in place. So I worked there for a number of years before then actually interning with Ulster Rugby.
Okay.
From interning then with Ulster Rugby, again, I was sort of doing the double because I wanted to obviously make sure that I was still having an income. So I was still doing personal training on the side as well as it. And it was more of my aspect in which I wanted to like gain some like CPD credits and things like that just to try and boost my profile. From there, that then led to another stepping stone, which was when I finished my internship at Ulster, I then got an opportunity to work with Netball Northern Ireland.
Nice.
From that, then that sort of made me think of like, maybe do I want to push into professional sport? Because I've literally went from a professional rugby team to then an international netball team, and then that then made me like really have to sit down and like justify where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I was still obviously doing some personal training on the side, but I just wasn't sure in what direction. And that's where, for me, I would say I struggled with back then. And then I finally just like sort of sat myself down and realized, like, what do I want to achieve? Where do I want to live? What I want to do in my life? And my thing was freedom. And like that sounds like, you know, it's so vague, but my love was, I love to travel. I loved health. I still wanted to have enough wealth there that I could do that. And for me, then my big thing was opening sort of a small facility with the aspect of then growing it out. So initially, then GMC came about. I was quite fortunate and lucky that about a mile and a half from Maclean, there was like a little industrial estate. There was a wee building in there that was sort of half derelict at that stage, and the cost of it was going for pretty decent money. So we were like, my dad and my sister's husbands, they're all joiners, sparks and tradesmen. So we were able to come in and gut the place and strip it out and then pretty much build on it from there.
Love it.
So once I'd done that, that was initially my first step then in opening my own private practice.
Yeah, so you know, I suppose there's a lesson in there for people. Like, if you really want to get shit done, you'll get resourceful.
Totally.
You'll get resourceful, and you know, I must say, dude, I was actually going to ask you about that as well. And this is one thing that I love about you, mate. I know you love to travel, and I know I think I can remember actually being in San Diego. It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I can remember getting a message from you saying, "Here,
From
dude,
me?
where are you?
Yeah,
I'll come see you." And I was like, we were there for like 5 days, and I think you were actually traveling.
You and Dan McCaffrey out for
Me and Dan McCaffrey. I think you were actually fucking scooting around the world, and I love that. I just love that attitude. Here, I'll come and see you, dude. Which was fucking awesome. So, you know, there's gonna be guys and girls watching this, right? And I think there's a big takeaway that I would like them to get, who are kind of stuck working in the business, right? And nowhere in their mind would they ever see a possibility of being able to leave the business and travel around the world. Right now, that might not be what they want. Okay, they may want to do something completely different, but right now they're stuck working in the business. So a couple of things I'm going to ask you, right? One is, you know, what would your advice be to someone who maybe wants to do that, right? And then two, would you have done anything differently in the transition going from, you know, coaching athletes to becoming a gym owner?
Okay, so initially for me, first thing I'd say is, when you are planning on doing it, don't be expecting it to be easy. I've had some serious, I've had some serious setbacks. I've made the wrong decision. I've made mistakes. So, but for me, like, those mistakes have sort of like taught me my biggest life lessons. And I think each and every person is completely different than that. But for me, I knew that traveling was a big part of my life. As in, for me, I just think that it's a gift to travel. I think you actually really only see how small you are as a person when you go traveling. And you actually said this, I think, yesterday in your live feed. You were like, you know, the best thing you can do initially with your gym is to get the heck out of it. And for me, like, stepping away was, and a step away was also in the right direction for me, because then it let me have time to think of what direction I wanted my business to go, what I could delegate, what I didn't want to do, what I didn't like doing. But for me, every time I went traveling, it always brought new ideas and new concepts. I was able to maybe steal and fine tune off other gyms that I really liked. So like, the first thing I would say is, like, it will definitely, like, it'll change your, you know, people say that traveling change your life. I personally believe it does. It's likely the one thing that this year I haven't done. Well, when I say I haven't done a lot, we're only back from like 5 weeks of traveling, and I was able to step away from the business completely and walk away. But this year was likely the first year I was able to step away from the business and be like stress free. In regards, just because I had better systems put in play. Whereas my first time I went away, it was a case of, you know, I left a number of like a number of tasks and things for the guys to do, but I didn't give them any direction, and I gave them no systems to follow. Whereas I then learned very fast what to do and what not to do, and the sort of systems to put in play to make sure that things would run smoothly and that my business would still be alive, effectively, when I came home, in that sense. But
alive and thriving.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And like, I think for me, even like, I'm still constantly learning. Like, I'm 27, so I look up to the likes of, like, not say older coaches, but guys who've been in the industry longer than me, and not even people who've been in the industry longer, but fresher coaches, because I actually see now fresher coaches doing things better than me, and I'm going like, shit, where have I went wrong?
I gotta do
like,
that shit. What's he doing?
What are they doing? So, for me, my big thing is like, I have this little thing at the minute that each and every week I meet one new coach.
Yeah.
And it's just, I reach out to them, and like a few weeks ago it was you. I asked you to go for a coffee. I know even I met Big Pierce from Raise the Bar. Last year, again, I met like Niall Greenan and things like that. So my thing is, like, I've committed myself to like reaching out to other coaches just for guidance, support, and just as more of an accountability side of things, to make sure that I'm looking at it going, right, shit, am I doing things right, or what am I doing wrong, or what little like extras could I put in and mold to my business to maybe try and suit and fit my clients, and vice versa.
Dude, that's so fucking, like, that's unbelievable value to anyone listening. It's keeping an open mind. To, what, like, instead of thinking, this is the way I've always done it. Fuck, what can I do better?
Totally.
Yeah, what can I do better?
I think that's a big thing. I was in my younger days, like, so harnessed in on like strength and conditioning, and this is the way we're supposed to coach, and this is the way we're supposed to train, and it has to be done this way: sets, reps, intensity. The program has to be done systematically in this order. But like, that was the small things. And like, for me, exercise was like that size, and movement was that, and I needed to do the same with my business. I needed to like stop harnessing in those small things that were nearly like making me as a coach bitter towards other things, because I was going like, that's bullshit, and this is not right, and that's right. And then it made me open up and like be an open canvas, essentially, because then when I started looking at like just other gyms, like if it was CrossFit gyms, if it was bodybuilding gyms, if it was even just like semi-private gyms, I was then able to see and look at them and go, right, what's their strengths, what's their weaknesses, what do I like, but also like, what are they trying to achieve? Because what they're trying to achieve and what I'm trying to achieve are two different things. So sometimes we get caught up with our own bullshit of going, well, shit, we should be doing that, but in theory we might not have to, because they're not in line with our values, our core values, and our mission statement in that sense.
Yeah, I love it, man. So like, success leaves clues.
Totally.
Just, take the clues, run with them, piece together your roadmap, and you'll get there. 100%. So like, was there anything you would have done differently? Like, if there was one thing that you could have, say, fuck, maybe I shouldn't have made that move at that time, like, what would it have been?
Okay, so I would never say I regret anything. Like, I think that's one thing I would say. For me, like, I make a mistake with the mistake or with any action that comes with consequences, and for me, then I have to be the one that to be respectful of. Well, sometimes those consequences can be good or bad. So for me, my big thing is, would I change anything? The only thing I would say that I would love to change if I was looking back would be having someone there to support and guide me through the steps. Obviously, as a very young coach, and even still now, I had no one to help and guide me. And like, yes, I could have reached out to people, but at that stage, I was like, I didn't want to, because I didn't want to be for them to be thinking that I was stealing their ideas, or I was that sort of young coach where I was like, that's my idea, I don't want them having it. So my big thing was like, I just found very enclosed as a younger coach that I didn't want to reach out to to other coaches and other business owners for guidance. Looking back now, how wrong I was, because I would say now this year has been a year where I've met more coaches than ever, and I've networked with more coaches. So if it was me personally, I would definitely be saying to everyone, like, reach out, find a coach, find a mentor, but find a mentor and coach that you value and respect and trust. Don't just do it because someone else has done it and like the success that they've got from it. Like, yes, that's great. But find a coach that, you have a common relationship with, and you can see common value, and one that then has the best intentions for you and your business, going forward in that sense.
Yeah, I love that, dude. I always say to people, because obviously, I work with Craig Ballantyne, and people ask, my wife actually asked me, like, why I work with Craig, and I was just like, well, one, he's done the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Two, he's believable. Three, he's got, he has the right connections. And
Totally.
then four, he values some of the same things that I value. Yeah. So it made like complete and utter sense. Whereas you're 100% right. Like if you go to someone that doesn't share all those same things, then you're essentially beating your head off a brick wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like even like last week, I was super jealous when you were working out with Craig Ballantyne. I was like, holy shit, that's Craig Ballantyne on stage. And then you brought him on your live the other day. But like I stole a little thing off him like last week, and it was I'd never actually heard of it before, and I don't even know how, because it was like I was actually like driving myself insane thinking, I was like, it was Stephen Covey's like 4 quadrants, and it was like non-urgical important work and urgical importance work.
Oh yeah.
Just dedicating 15 minutes, and I was like going, I wouldn't have seen that if it wasn't via yourself working with Craig and me clicking onto his page and having a good nosy through his social media. That. So, like that was one small aspect now that I was able to take and utilize and work in for myself. And for me, I think that's the power of like reaching out and just connecting with other coaches and other people.
Love it, mate. Absolutely love it. So here, tell us this, mate. Like, what have you got planned for 2020? Sure, you got some big stuff coming up.
Right. So at the minute, I have been working a little bit of extra long hours, just to try and get new systems put in play. Okay. I was down actually at Sean and Jay's Fulfillment Day, which was last month. And to be honest, sometimes you need someone to call you out in your bullshit. And that's what those guys are quite good at. And they can be direct with it. But my thing was, even though as a business owner, I need a coach to be accountable to. Once I went to that Fulfillment Day, I was looking at my systems that I thought were like, bulletproof. I was like, yep, I've got all those. Then when I actually sat and realized, I was like, shit, these systems that I have, I neutralized some of them, but some of them I'm not right up there. So my big thing now for 2020 is to try and like really harness in and push my systems massively into play. Okay. So we've more or less we've dropped a new booking system. We've dropped a little new, like more or less a new timetable. My big thing is like fulfillment. I think that's one thing that I said that I felt that I'd done well before. Now with networking with other coaches and seeing what they're doing, I'm like, shit, I'm only scraping the surface of what I could be doing. But I also then had to understand and realize that I can't do all that myself. I need a team behind me. I need to delegate the stuff that I don't have time to do and maybe don't want to do and maybe don't like doing. So I think the first thing is, and something maybe it's hard to swallow, I think maybe from a coaching perspective, once you make the transition to go into a business owner, you have to then swallow that you need to bring in someone who's better than you. And that's just it. If you don't, you run the problem of you're always going to have doubt in the back of your mind and stress in the back of your mind that, shit, do my clients like this person? Are they getting the same service provided? Do they see the same value? And I think if you don't have those both on the same wavelength, then you're going to run into problems. So for me, my big thing was find someone who's better at that service, bring them in, delegate slightly, which means then I have then better control and better understanding over my business. And I think for me, that's the area that I want to really try and strive to push within 2020.
Absolutely love it, man. Absolutely love that there, without a doubt. So here, I'll not keep you too much of your time today, mate.
No, you're okay.
As a gym owner now, and someone that wants to maybe just make their way into the fitness industry, possibly, open up a gym as well. What's the best piece of advice that you would give them, that give someone like that? Even a young kid, maybe it's just out of university, like yourself, like you were, because you've been through that process now. And you know how tricky it can be, and like you said, you didn't reach out to anyone sooner, probably through fear of looking silly, which a lot of people have a tendency to do.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to let your ego kind of get in the way of it. So
totally,
if they're watching now and they want to make the transition from you know, where they're at to possibly, you know, being in a position like yours, what's the best piece of advice you would give them?
Okay, right. So it's a hard one to sort of pull all in together.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little thing that I do, and this is just my way of keeping accountable is I use my Instagram and social media as a way for me as a diary, essentially. Okay. So I put down like little things that I want to achieve, or something that speaks values to me. I would say I have a couple of points I would consider. I'd be like, do the simple things on a consistent basis. Okay. Stop, like, you know, don't be looking for the secrets. Because if, you know, don't look for the secrets if you're not implementing the basics, essentially.
Okay.
So do that consistent thing on a daily basis. Mistakes are good, guys. You're going to make them. Like I said at the start, my biggest mistakes and failures have likely taught me my biggest life lessons. So don't look as mistakes as a negative factor. It's a good thing, you know, and that means that you can then, you know, for me, that leads on my third point is like, so don't get sucked in by mistakes. You know, don't spend too much time trying to like defend the reason why you done it. Just spend more time in taking action and move forward, because, and this was something I learned from, I think it was actually you, Sean and Jay, put this up, like speed beats perfection. You know, so like getting in there first, don't worry if it's not perfect. Like, I know what I'm doing. I used to have this problem where when I was doing my member videos, I'd have been doing like 40 videos in a row because it's like, fuck, I messed it up again. And then I just actually caught myself on one day being like, do you know what? We're all human, you know, we make mistakes. Like, and like, I'm conscientious and focusing on minor things that, let's be honest, my clients don't give a shit about. They actually want to see and know, do you know what? This guy is human. He does make mistakes, and you know, that's fine. Totally.
Bloopers.
And like, how many bloopers have I made down through the years? Like a ton. Like I can't even count them. And I would say my biggest thing I'd say is, this is actually one that I've taken from you, and it's one that every single time I think about it, I actually beat myself up over it. And it's like, if you want results faster, invest in a coach, because if you could have done it by now, you would have done it. And I think that's the one thing that I had to like sort of catch myself on with it. I had to, you know, sit and realize, like, you know, do you know what? They're totally right. You know, whether that's from a personal training perspective, whether that's from a coaching perspective, a business perspective, you know, it doesn't matter what sort of area or approach you try and take that from. A coach that has been there, done the delivery, and done, you know, pretty much implemented everything, can fast track your success.
Yeah.
But at least then, not to say that you're still going to make mistakes and you have to understand you are going to do that, but at least then it minimizes the risk, and it saves you a heck of a lot of time, effort, and money.
Awesome, Jay. Thank you, my brother.
Not a problem, mate. All right, have a good day.
Absolutely awesome value, mate. Thank you very much for coming on today, bro.
Not a problem, mate. All right, cheers.
Take care, my man.
Thank you, God.
Bye.
Bye.